Get everything you need for your holiday meal at Whole Foods Market. Right now, you'll find animal welfare certified rib roast on sale. It's a deliciously crowd-pleasing centerpiece. Plus, save on spiral sliced ham, bone-in lamb, and seasonal produce like sweet potatoes and Honeycrisp apples. For ready-to-eat sides, head to the prepared food section. Done. And remember that Whole Foods Market caters. Order gourmet catering at shop.wfm.com. Bring the holiday magic with Whole Foods Market.
This episode is brought to you by Seed. Seed's DSO1 is a 2-in-1 probiotic and prebiotic designed for whole body health. Formulated with 24 clinically and scientifically studied strains, DSO1 offers benefits in and beyond the gut. See why DSO1 is the probiotic recommended by top doctors and nutritionists. Go to seed.com/Spotify for 25% off Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic.
Apple Card is the credit card created by Apple. You earn 3% daily cash back up front when you use it to buy a new iPhone 15, AirPods, or any products at Apple. And you can automatically grow your daily cash at 4.15% annual percentage yield when you open a high-yield savings account. Apply for Apple Card in the Wallet app on iPhone. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility. Savings accounts by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC. Terms apply.
Hello and welcome to The Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello everyone. On today's show, I have two guests, two friends and two sports, cricket and horse racing. Hello Georgia Adams and welcome back Tabitha Worsley.
Hi.
Tabitha's been on the Paddock and the Pavilion way back in December 2021 in episode 94. For listeners, Georgia is the successful captain of the Southern Vipers and Tabitha is an informed national hunt jockey who rode in the 2021 Grand National. Now, I'm looking forward to this. Now, to start with, Georgia, I've got to start with you because last night I was watching the first game of the 100 and we were recording this on Thursday and you were dancing on the TV. What's all that about?
I can only apologise if that's what you signed in and got to watch. Do you know what? I moved from the Oval Invincibles to the Southern Brave. And in my first week with the Brave, I've abseiled down the Spinnaker Tower and I'm absolutely petrified of heights. And I've been roped into DJing and dancing in front of 14,000 people and live on TV. So it was actually my friend, Paige Schofield, who had agreed to go and DJ and go in the DJ booth and sort of learn the ropes. And she went, you can come with me because I don't want to go on my own. So she roped a couple of us in with her. And then she got up there. And as soon as they said to her, right, we're going to do a little bit of a feature, but you're going to have to say a few words and answer a few questions. She went, no way, I'm out. And literally handed it to me. And she went, this is Gadz's job. So there I was, probably out of the group of us that were in there, the worst dancer, got no dance moves whatsoever, no idea what I was doing at the front, having to do all these dance moves and press a button on the DJ panel. So yeah, it was an interesting one, but we styled it out. We worked it the best we could.
So will you be doing this at future games then? Or
I don't think I'll be making a regular thing of dancing in DJ booths, but the DJ here, Steph, she is great, actually. She did give me a little lesson and taught me the ropes, and she's very keen to have us back so we said that there was four of us in there. There was myself, Paige Schofield, Carla Rudd, and our overseas, Molly Strano. We said we're going to have to come up with a little group name now. It's going to have to become a thing. We'll go around and do some appearances, do weddings. We'll go viral. Yeah, you got to go somewhere. So if you ever need us, Tabs, get us in.
Yeah, come and do some of the races.
Yeah, get us in there.
Yeah. Newmarket nights. Yeah.
We might be a bit better by then.
You've had a busy week as well, Georgia, because am I right in saying, looking at your Instagram page, you were at Wembley on Sunday?
I was. It was, again, a really last minute. I was actually away in Corfu, sort of getting 5 weeks, a rare 5-day holiday. in the middle of the cricket season, which hasn't happened in my career for probably about 8 years. And I got a text through from Alexia Walker, my boss at Brighton Aldridge Community Academy, saying Sir Rod, who basically built the school that I work at, and I think he's quite well known at Wembley, has managed to get a couple of tickets. Would you like to go? So I found out on Thursday that I could go, and I think hands down, as a spectator, it's the best sporting event I've ever attended in terms of atmosphere. Obviously, it was a brilliant game. It was a bit of a thriller, and to see the girls go all the way and win, and how they handled themselves, and sort of seeing all the kids around who were just in awe of these group of ladies on the pitch was it put a big smile on my face. It was nice to see.
And women's sport's really on the up now, isn't it? Why do you think that is, Tabitha?
I just think more opportunity, isn't it? I say we're getting to do a lot more, and a lot more sports are being inclusive. And as you saw from the football at the weekend, a lot more people are wanting to go out and watch it as well, and get behind it. So it's giving more opportunity, and I think more inspiration to younger generations of sort of girls coming through that they can actually do it.
And you've got role models now in horse racing, haven't you, in particular with people like Bryony, Rachel Blackmore, Holly Doyle? Yeah,
I say they've done unbelievably well, and I say you've got more girls coming through now, which is only going to be a good thing for the sport going forward.
And Georgia, in cricket, do you think the 100 last summer made a massive influence on the women's game?
Oh yeah, the 100 had a much greater impact than I think anyone would have expected. And I think, again, as well, what that was down to is originally we were meant to play a standalone competition separate from the men. And because of COVID, the only way to sort of get the competitions across the line was to keep us all at the same venues and try and contain it as much as possible. So that was when the idea of playing back-to-back matches with the men came along. And I just think that was so influential in the success that we saw, and in terms of getting families down, and people actually getting the opportunity to have a full day or a full afternoon and evening of cricket. And people started to come and watch the women's games and go, actually, this is better. If they've got young kids and families, they could come and watch the women's game, watch half of the men's game, and then they could leave at a bit more of a respectful time, but they still feel like they've got their money's worth out of their ticket. And we just saw crowds grow and grow and grow. So, that was one of the key factors, I think, for us. And, the men were brilliant in terms of supporting us and wanting to get behind us and wanting to put women's cricket on the map as well, and encouraging people to get down and watch our games. And it just blew up. It was amazing to be part of, and no one expected it to rise the way it did, and to get the crowds that we did, especially towards the back end of the tournament, was just phenomenal.
And we've had some young players, 17-year-olds like Alice Capsey, Freya Kemp coming through and playing for England.
Yeah, I know. And, we're really excited for Freya Kemp, because we've known, I've coached her since she was 11 and 12 years old. And we've known she's always been a special talent. And she's struggled with injury. So she's not had, she was due to play in the 100 last year, but unfortunately ruled out for the whole season with an injury. So she struggled growing, because I think she was the same height she is now when she was 13, 14 years old. So she's had a tough few years, but we've always known she's been capable of big things. So to finally get her out on the pitch and see her thrive out there has been amazing. And tournaments like this, they do put young players on the map, and it shows how brave they are, to be honest. I'm getting old now, so I look at these girls and go, I wish I could be as fearless as Alice Capsey and Freya Kemp.
Well, you're only 28, but when did Tabitha, when did you first meet Georgia?
It would have been when I first went to Brighton, so I think I went in 2008, so that makes me feel old as well.
There we go.
Yeah, was it 2000? It must have been, yeah, it'd have been something around then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, quite a long time ago now.
and George has been talking about hopefully some clean stories about hockey matches that you can say on air.
I don't know if it was a game. I think it might have even just been training or house matches or something. But Bear in mind, she's a cricketer. I think I gave her the biggest bruise she's ever had.
The biggest bruise. I got roped into. Let me paint the picture right. I got roped. My whole time I was at Brighton College, I was pretty average at hockey. And everyone goes, "Oh, you're a cricketer, you'll be good at hockey." And I was pretty average at hockey. And I think when I got into sixth form, so I must have been 17, 18, I got persuaded to goalkeep. And I'm like I've watched hockey goalkeepers and I'm like, I think they're nuts. And they're like, it's fine. You've got all this padding on. Like, you get a ball bowled at you at 60, 70 miles an hour, you'll be fine. So I'm like, right. So you very kindly offered, didn't you? You said, I think I had a second team game and you were representing the first team.
Yeah.
Because you were a very handy hockey player. And you kindly offered to warm me up. And it must have been like second ball in. She's absolutely whacked one from the top of the D. And it's something that I was learning the technique, wasn't it? And they encourage goalkeepers to step out.
Yeah, just
or something, not just kick out the ball.
Yeah,
like you have to turn your knees out. And it basically managed. There was a gap in my padding of about this big. And Tabby managed to find that gap on the side of the knee, and I had this bruise, and it just spread across my whole leg, and I just couldn't believe it because I've been hit by a cricket ball weekly, going at some pace off the bowling machine and things like that, and nothing had ever bruised me quite like this ball. And I went down like I'd been shot, and I didn't get up for a long time either. I was like, I think I had an army of people lifting me up, and I was like, right, that's it. Never again am I going in goal.
So you never played in goal again? Never played in goal again?
That was my hockey goalkeeping career cut short there, all because of this one.
I can only apologise, but I've got a picture of the bruise somewhere, and it made an absolute belter.
We'll have to dig it out because it was honestly, it just went black, didn't it? My whole leg.
Yeah, I must see the bruise now for the social media page.
Yeah, I'm not being dramatic. Honestly, this is one of the worst bruises I've ever had.
I think it flashes up on my Facebook memories every year. Yeah. When I know it flashes up, I'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll send it in.
Well, I know how Tabitha got into riding from episode 94, but it's probably an obvious question, Georgia. But how did you get into cricket? Is it just your dad, former England Test player and one-day international player?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just all I ever knew growing up. And, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I had a really informal approach into cricket as well, which I think was, in my career, quite influential because I never felt under pressure as a youngster to go on and do big things. I never thought about England. I never thought about the next step. I was very much in the here and now, and I just loved it because I was around all my friends. And, majority of my cricket when I was sort of 12 and younger was just played on the outfield with my friends at, like people like Tom Moores, who's now gone on to do brilliant things for Nottingham and Trent Rockets and the 100 as well. And just with a softball in the nets, on the outfield, lobbing balls at each other, sliding around. And I think one day Claire Connor came up to my dad and said, why isn't she playing in the county age groups? And Dad was like, well, I didn't really know what the process was. Like, we didn't know much about it. And I went down one day and did a trial and kind of got in when I think I was 12 or 13 and sort of went from there. And that's when cricket for me started getting serious around 15. I was really lucky to go to Brighton College because it thrived at girls cricket, which was we just dominated, didn't we, Tabs?
Yeah. And that's when you came across that bowler, Tabitha Worsley. But just want to take you back. Just as I'd written down about pressure from your dad, but even though your dad had played international cricket, he was successful captain of Sussex. He didn't put pressure on you to take up cricket then.
No, not at all. If anything, it's probably the other way because he knew how stressful cricket was and the highs and lows of it can be quite brutal at times. So he was very, very laid back, actually. I remember as a kid kind of asking him quite a lot to do net sessions with me and he tended to just palm me off onto other people. But at the time I was gutted because I actually wanted him to coach me, but I look back now and I think I really shouldn't complain because I did a lot of work with Murray Goodwin, who's a bit of a Sussex legend and scored a lot of runs. So it wasn't like I was getting palmed off to any Tom, Dick and Harry. I did all right. But yeah, he kind of was the other way, and he still is now. Like, can't get into a game. He hates watching. He gets so nervous. He'd just rather not be there. Just check the scorecard.
I won't remind you of that photo that was on the BBC page the week on Father's Day.
Oh, I know. I look a belter in that, don't I? Said we need to go and recreate it.
Well, I'm going to take you forward now to June 2010. Well, actually, Tabitha, take you forward to that, when you were playing for the Sussex under-15s against Surrey.
Here we go.
You've opened the bowling. Can you remember much about that?
That's a bit worrying if I'm opening the bowling.
No, Tabitha.
I was going to say, not me. Yeah.
No, Tabitha.
I've had a lot of time since then, so I can't say it's a clear memory now.
Well, you bowled 5 overs for 24, no wickets. I love.
Not bad.
Georgia, I love her initials though, because cricket loves initials, doesn't it? And Tabitha's initials being THE, it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
The Worsley, yeah.
The Worsley. Dominating with the ball.
Terrified with the bat.
That's what, yeah. And we used to say to you all the time, like, if you whack the cricket ball the way you whack the hockey ball, you'll be absolutely fine. Just stand still. I don't
like standing in the goal where you got hit because it hurts.
Yeah, sensible. But
Georgia, did you face her? Did you ever face Tabitha as a bowler?
We trained probably not so much at Sussex because we're different age groups, but we both played at Horsham.
Yeah.
And so we played club cricket together, and obviously our training at Brighton College was like a select girls group, so it was all ages, wasn't it? It was literally from fourth form right the way up to upper sixth, which would be your sort of your top last year of college. And we all trained as a group quite a lot, so we did quite a lot together.
Yeah, I don't think we were ever on opposite teams though, were we?
No,
we always were on the same team.
You will have probably put me through my paces in the nets a little bit. I mean, clearly that's why I'm where I've got to today. It's down to facing Tabby in the nets. I wouldn't be the cricketer that I am if I hadn't done that. But
thank me all for that.
Yeah, we definitely did it. We've trained together and played together a lot, but not against each other.
No.
So was Tabitha a medium pace opening bowler?
Yeah, decent wheels on you.
Yeah, quick enough for bad old shoulders.
Yeah, you got it down there.
Well, I did find, because I've got Crick Archive, so I went on there and I found that Tabitha, apart from playing the 2 county games, under 15s, you also played a lot for Horsham, didn't you? And I found a game where you got 5 for 24 against Shepperton.
There we go.
I can't say I remember it, but that sounds very good, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
Probably a career best, I think.
Demon bowler for Horsham, I'm telling you. We did have some fun.
And a demon batter.
Well, one of the reasons why I got you here was to sort of compare the two sports, if we can. And first topic I was going to ask you was the types of pressure you both are subjected to playing cricket and horse riding, and what sort of pressures do you sort of encounter, Georgia?
Oh gosh, where do you start in a game like cricket? I think pressure. You're in pressure all the time, I guess. In cricket's unpredictable, and you can't. I'm quite lucky as an opening batter because I'm virtually heading into the same scenario every time I go out to bat. But even with that, you've got to be adaptable because, you know, if someone puts 200 on the board in a T20 opposed to 100, your method and the way you go about it has got to it's got to be completely different. So you're always under pressure, I find, in cricket. But I think for me, I've noticed it as a captain as well. Like in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, having the opportunity to captain at professional level, at domestic level, you I guess you feel responsible for the decisions you make. You know, if you don't win a game of cricket, you go, was it the decision I made at the toss? Did I do the right thing? Did I choose the right bowler to bowl? So I always feel like you are under pressure, but at the same time, I think it's the pressure that makes you thrive. And probably anyone like Tabby will probably say the same thing. It's that sort of adrenaline and those the harder moments that when you come through them, you keep wanting to, you almost crave it and chase it, and it gets quite addictive. And that's what I find in cricket. It's brutal at times, and you fail probably more than you succeed. But when you do succeed in those high pressure moments, it's the best feeling in the world. So you're constantly trying to seek those feelings and try and get better and better. So I think, I don't know if that answers your question, but
I think like a jockey, you're failing a lot more than you're actually winning races, Tabitha. So similar type pressure there.
100%. I say you lose a damn sight more than you win. Last year, I think, what did I ride? I rode 240 odd losers and 17 winners, and a lot of those losers they run well, they do well, but it's all about the winners. And if you're not winning, you're sort of not noticed, so you don't get noticed. You end up putting pressure on yourself then. But as Georgia said, I think that can only make you better, and when you do well under pressure, it gives you more confidence going forward that you'll do better still next time.
How do you both deal with social media, which can be quite vile, and the criticism can be not very pleasant?
Yeah. I think, to be honest, I'm actually not overly active on social media, other than like I use Instagram quite a lot because I'm quite a visual person, and I prefer to sort of look at, I guess, pictures and interact with people that way, and get an insight or a glimpse into what people are doing, as opposed to, I think Twitter is where it can get quite brutal, and where a lot of sort of the hostility is. So I try and stay off that. Like for me, I use Twitter to, I guess, promote stuff that I need to promote, or share things that I think are important, rather than reading through what people are saying to me, or I guess bad press. So I try and just avoid it to stop it getting to me. But the 100 was tough last year because people were on your every move, and it was on the BBC, it was on Sky, every game, so you were always in the public eye, and you do get random messages, but I think I just laugh it off most of the time. I try not to engage with it or read into it too much.
Get everything you need for your holiday meal at Whole Foods Market. Right now, you'll find animal welfare certified rib roast on sale. It's a deliciously crowd-pleasing centerpiece. Plus, save on spiral sliced ham, bone-in lamb, and seasonal produce like sweet potatoes and Honeycrisp apples. For ready-to-eat sides, head to the prepared food section. Done. And remember that Whole Foods Market caters. Order gourmet catering at shop.wfm.com. Bring the holiday magic with Whole Foods Market.
What about yourself, Tabitha?
Yeah, much the same, to be honest. To say, with the racing, like generally the abusive messages you get, it's someone that's put 50p on it and they've lost a tiny bit of money, and they're just trying to sort of get a rise from you. So, I mean, if I stumble across them, I'll tend to just block them, delete them, laugh at them, and just move on, because that they actually don't know what they're talking about, and there's no point in getting hung up on it, because it's not the people that matter. So you just sort of keep your head up and just move on.
Well, changing the subject, I wanted to ask you both about fitness now. How do you both keep fit? Very different sports.
You can start this one, Tabs. I'm sure you've got some interesting.
I just ride horses. Unless I'm sort of recovering from injuries, I generally will just ride a lot of horses every day. And I'm lucky that sort of through the winter I'd be racing most days, so that just naturally keeps me fit. And you're then riding out for lots of different yards in the morning, so you're naturally always busy and always doing. So it keeps me sort of race fit, really.
It's hard work. I used to have a horse when I was a kid.
I was going to ask you whether you've actually ridden at all.
I say I had a horse. My mum was quite into horses, and my middle sister had a horse as well. So me and my mum got a joint horse, and nothing like what Tabby will be riding. I can tell you that much. She was a cob, and she was as slow as anything, and I still felt like she was going too quick for me. Like,
I can't
even going into going into a canter, I was like, I'm not sure about this, but it's hard work on the legs. Goodness.
That's not
get used to it.
Yeah.
That's not answering the question though, Georgie. How do you actually keep fit? Is it running?
So obviously playing a game like cricket, the expectations on fitness has actually massively increased in the last sort of 5 years because of the demand to be a good fielder, to be athletic, to be agile, to be quick in and out. Now, if you want to make it to the top, you have got to be fit, and it's never really had that stigma around it. Cricket, it's always been a little bit of a leisurely sport, drinking involved, and we've seen a real transition. So we do quite a lot, and annoyingly, we don't get a huge fitness kick from doing our training, sort of batting and bowling in the nets. Probably seam bowlers do a little bit because they're charging in and bowling around, but for me, as a little part-time spinner and a batter, I don't do a lot of physical stuff when I train. So we have to do quite a lot extra. So do a lot of running, biking when in the season, a little bit more to keep off feet, because obviously you're on your feet quite a lot in cricket. But yeah, I would say I'm probably in the gym 3 times a week, and then running or biking 2 or 3 times a week as well.
And I guess your fitness is constantly being assessed by some data analyst.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. Well, we have to do every single session in a GPS now, so they can track how far we cover and how it clocks how quick we run. He can even, our S&C coach John even works out how many overs we've bowled in a session just from the line going back and forward, and I think he's got some thing on his software that counts it. So if I forget to count my overs, he goes, "Oh, you bowled 8, it's fine." And I'm like, so yeah, it's all a bit high tech, and we do a lot of fitness testing. That's the brutal part. We don't like November, and we don't like April, because it normally comes with a lot of fitness testing.
Moving from fitness to injuries, injuries must be the worst thing for a sportsman. How do the two of you deal with injuries? I know that Georgie, you've had trouble with your shoulder, and Tabitha, you broke your back at one point.
Oh gosh, that sounds nasty.
I broke my back. It'd be coming up to 4 or 5 years.
I've got 2017 down here on my notes.
Coming up to 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So obviously that was I'd say long spell. I was off for 3 months, so that was a lot of time in the gym, a lot of rehab, and sort of getting right again. But I think I'm sure Georgia will agree here. Like, I think as a sportsman, when you've got something to get back for and work towards, you find you get back quicker because you've got that motivation to put the hard graft in and the hours in to achieve what you want to achieve. And I think it helps when you've got little targets, and sometimes with a big injury, you have to break it down week by week. But I think when you've got things to work towards, it does make it a lot easier to get through it.
Yeah, I that's exactly what I was going to say. I think when I've had 2 serious injuries in my shoulder and my hip, and I think both times I've been really lucky that the physios that I've worked with have been brilliant with me. But actually, I found sort of just breaking it down week by week. By the end of this week, I want to have hit this, and this, rather than just thinking I need to be back by April. I need to be fit by April. You can get quite absorbed by that. And I also think dealing with injuries, it's one of those things that if you've had one before, the next time you get one, you deal with it better. And that's what I found sort of with my shoulder. I was very process driven, goal driven. I didn't surround myself around cricket in terms of training too much, because it's like rubbing salt in the wounds a little bit. And this time I kept myself separate. I worked hard, I still attended every training session with the girls, and I was in and around the girls, but I'd be in the gym the whole time, and I didn't see a whole lot of what was going on from a cricket point of view. And I think that helped me, because the first time I went through my hip surgery, I was at Loughborough Uni, and I went along to every squad session, and I'd be feeding balls, and I'd be in and around, and it was great to be in and around the girls and being around the team, but it was also really tough mentally, because I just wanted to be doing everything that they were doing, and I was still quite heavily involved in it. So I was a little bit more secluded from the cricket side and just focused on everything that I could control from a physical point of view this time around. And I think that helps you get through, but you just want to get back as quick as possible, so you do whatever you need to do it.
Well, moving on, I was going to ask you both a question here. Tabitha, do you ever watch Georgia play cricket? And does Georgia ever watch Tabitha ride?
I watched plenty of the 100 sort of last year. We went to one game. I don't think any of the sort of you guys were playing that. I was at Birmingham. I can't even remember who was playing. I say I hit my head all the time. But no, I watch it sort of when I can. And the 100 was a really good opportunity to actually see some of it televised, because there isn't that many of the girls' games that actually are televised. So it was a nice opportunity to actually watch some of the people that, because as you were saying earlier, like Paige and all people like that, I remember all of them from Sussex days. So it's quite nice to actually see where they all are now.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's the same really. Like, I think it was that time, I think with you, like every now and again I'd see something on Facebook or something. I don't use Facebook that much. I probably use it more because it's nice to actually see what people are getting up to. But whenever you seem to be racing, I'm normally coaching. So we're always like running around, like between me and Alexia, because again, Alexia was quite invested in sort of following you and seeing how you were getting on and things as well. So we try and have like stuff on a laptop, like at the side of coaching, but obviously try and be professional and make sure, sorry kids, we're just going to sit and watch the whole time. So it always seems to be the way it rolls. But maybe that's what we need to do now. We need to make a pact. We're going to watch each other more. I need to come and watch you in the flesh.
Well, so one day when I'm at Plumpton or Fontball or somewhere like that, because that's down your way, so that'd be, I mean, Plumpton's just round the corner. Really.
Just round the corner.
I'll let you know when I'm down
there.
We'll
have to tee it up. I'll bring a few of the girls along. We can come be your super fans for a day.
and if they need any musical entertainment, Tabitha, at that racecourse, then George is the person as well. Don't forget.
Yeah, I'll bring the girl band. Paige will come along. She'll definitely be there. Carla, you probably did. Yeah, Carla wouldn't have been your age group, would she? Because she was my age group.
She was the one up, but I remember sort of her being around and stuff. Yeah. She's wicket keeper, wasn't she?
Yeah, keeper. Yeah. She can come along for the ride too.
There we go.
Well, this is like a school reunion. This,
it
is. Georgia, this is why you're doing the podcast, isn't it? Georgia, you mentioned before about captaincy. Now, your dad was a very successful captain of Sussex, leading them to 3 county championships. Was it always inevitable that you'd become a captain? Is it something you always wanted to be?
Do you know what? I never thought about it growing up playing, because I never captained at age group level. My best friend was the captain of our team, Kiara Green. So I didn't really think about it. I obviously did a little bit of captaincy here and there, like I captained the school side at Brighton College, and I did a little bit of captaincy up at Horsham. But I think I have a lot of qualities that would that do make me a good leader, in terms of I'm a massive people person. I obviously absolutely love the game, very passionate, go above and beyond. But equally, like I'm very different to my dad in nature and in character. And I'm a little bit of I'm quite not emotional in terms of I'm always crying, but I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a little bit of a feeler. So I always wondered if that would impact me as a captain. And I think for me, it's an area that I always have to work on, it being quite black and white, being like not brutal, but like to the point, and being okay with the decisions that I make. And knowing that I try and do everything that's right for the team, and I guess not worry about upsetting people. And I'm not saying that my dad isn't like that, But he's a much more of a logical brain, and he can process things and deliver and be okay with it, because that's something that I've struggled with, but I've definitely developed and got better at that. Obviously, under Charlotte Edwards' guidance here as a mentor at the Vipers, I think my leadership has flourished because I picked her brains and learned so much from her. But it was something that I fell into, I think. At Sussex, I captained from quite a young age, probably made a lot of mistakes and did a lot wrong. But actually getting things wrong is how you get better. So now I absolutely love it. I couldn't imagine not captaining the Vipers now. And I've hopefully got better and better as a leader and as a captain as well.
Well, you've won the last, 2 Rachel Hayo-Flint trophies. And I was thinking when you were talking about hockey that, don't make good cricketers. Well, Rachel Hayo-Flint played, I'm pretty sure she played hockey for England as well as obviously playing cricket for England.
And she's quite a talented lady, I think.
And you also won this year's Charlotte Edwards Cup.
We're doing well. I can't complain really. But I guess that's the other angle. It's easy when you're winning. Cricket's great when you're winning. It's you come into your own, I guess, when you're under the pump and you start losing. It reveals a lot more about character. But we've done a lot right, and I've worked hard. One thing I will say is I do give all my time, and I try and give as much as I can to being a good captain and to doing whatever I need to do for the team. I work a lot with Lottie. I do a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, and I've sort of been learning on the job a little bit for the last 2 years, but I found that works for me, and doing it quite thoroughly to try and retain as much as I can up here. And then when I'm on the pitch, I've got everything. I've got my plan A's completely nailed down and laid out, and it does make it a bit easier if you then have to go to your plan B because you're not thinking in overdrive. So I can rely a little bit on gut instinct if things don't go to plan when I'm out there. But I do a lot of planning and prep, and that works for me.
And Tabitha, before a race, you must do planning on the other horses in the race, how you're going to race with the trainer as well.
Yeah, definitely. I say we're very lucky that everything is filmed now. So if you don't know the horse, you can watch all its previous runs, but you can also look at all the runs of other horses you're running against, so you can work out a rough plan of how you want to ride the horse. Quite often in racing, you end up in plan E by the third fence because something's fallen, something's ducked out, and there's so many variables. And I think very similarly, you just got to think on your feet sometimes and go with what you feel is best at the time. And hopefully, the more you do, the better you get at making those split-second decisions.
Yeah, you've got the added complication of dealing with an animal, whereas Georgia's got 10 players and 10 girls in her team.
Yeah, I don't know what's easier, dealing with a horse or dealing with 10 girls on the pitch.
I think if you're dealing with a chestnut mare, that's probably harder, but
yeah, weigh it up.
Yeah.
Well, we're drawing to a close now, Georgia. How much are you looking forward to the 100? You're sitting there with your Southern Brave cap on. You're not going to be DJing in about a week's time. You are actually going to be playing, and you've moved teams from the Oval Invincibles to the Southern Brave. How did that come about?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think for me, I was in a tricky situation, really, having to make. We had a 2-week window to decide, and Southern Brave came in and offered me a contract, and as did the Oval, said that they'd like to retain me. And I think initially I did want to sign for the Oval, but I didn't seem to get as much clarity on what my role would be there. And I think their team was not finalised within the window that I was looking to sign. And they had a few changes. They've been, I feel for the head coach, John Batty, because actually they've been hit by quite a lot of injuries and had a few changes. And I think what happened as new signings were coming to light, it was becoming probably apparent that I'd be further down the order this summer, which I was completely okay with, as I'll be down the order for for Brave. But what Southern Brave provided me was, complete role clarity, and hopefully or possibly an opportunity to bowl. I've never really seen myself as an all-rounder, but the last 2 years I've been bowling more and more, and it's been going pretty well. So I'm sort of getting a bit older, and I just want to play in an environment where I know that I'm going to really enjoy the team atmosphere, the group of girls that I'm around. Not that I didn't enjoy last summer, but most of the girls down here at Brave and my teammates at Vipers, who I get on really, really well with. And I've got a brilliant relationship with Lottie. She's by far the best coach that I've worked with. And, it just felt right. I think I went on a gut feeling. And so here I am in a slightly different hint of green this summer. So I'm really looking forward to get going. I love playing here at the Aegeus as well. And I think everything sort of fell into place, and I can't wait to get going. It just feels like a lifetime waiting for it to start now the men have got going.
Yeah, well, last year you played for the Oval team that won the competition. You opened the batting. So are you going to be like the sixth bowler who bowls like 2 sets of 5 and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I'm not required too much, because then otherwise I'd be worried about what the other bowlers are doing in front of me. But we've got some very, very talented bowlers. But I think in the Brave makeup, they haven't got a lot of their star batters aren't actually all-rounders. And you often see a lot of overseas players who are all-rounders and things like that getting brought in because they're quite appealing because they bat and bowl. But we've obviously got Danny Wyatt, Sophia Dunkley. I mean, she can bowl a little bit. And Smriti Mandana, who are predominantly just batters. So the team in general sort of felt that they were a little bit light on bowling. So having me as an option with the ball, I'm hoping I'm not going to be required too much, because the girls that we do have ahead of me are very, very talented, far more talented than me. But it'd be great to get a little bit of exposure this summer with the ball.
Well, we'll look out for your bowling.
Yeah.
Moving on to sort of the future, really, and sporting ambitions. I'll ask you first, Tabitha.
I just try and build on. I had a very good season last year, my best season comfortably to date. And I think for me, it's just building on that and just keeping improving the quality of the horses I'm riding. And always crucially try and stay injury free. And they say you get on the right horses and ride some big winners, and just keep improving, really. And bigger and better winners is all we can ask for.
And Georgia, do you still hope one day you could play for England? You played under 19s and the England Academy,
yeah.
Or
I think sort of it's a funny one, because when we came into the first year of the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy, when it very first went professional and they started this new domestic regional league, it was the first season I've gone into COVID helped as well. We were lucky to get any cricket at all, but it was the first time I'd gone into a season not thinking about England, and I played the best cricket I've ever played. And then, of course, with that, I got roped back in. I played a lot of England A cricket in the last couple of years, and I've been there or thereabouts again after probably 3 years out of the England system completely. And it's tough, I think. I find that when I get roped in by it and when I get absorbed by England, it does have an impact on my cricket and the way I play. So I think I've come to terms with the fact that, women's cricket is on the rise still. It's growing and we're doing so well. And I love playing down at the Vipers. It's the first time I've properly enjoyed, well, not the first time, but I've just got a group of people around me where they make the environment so enjoyable. And I love what I do. I love going to work. I love every game with these girls, and that's really rewarding. And try not to think about it too much. It's be wrong to say you don't want to play for your country, because I think everyone wants to try and get to the top, and I'd love to represent England. But now with tournaments like the 100 and the opportunities to go overseas and play in the Big Bash and things like that, it's you can have a brilliant career without making it right to the very top now, which is great.
Well, there's nothing better to have two people who enjoy what they're doing. Thanks very much for joining me on the paddock and the pavilion and sort of comparing the two sports. We've sort of had a schoolgirl reunion. We've heard about your hockey bruise.
What a throwback.
We've heard about the Worsleys bowling. Georgia Adams riding of thoroughbred horses. No, cobs.
I tell you what, you wouldn't get me on any of those horses that you ride.
One day.
You're crazy. Imagine, maybe we should do a swap. Like, you can come in and train for the day,
and you can come
and then you can teach me how to ride a horse like you.
There we go. We can do that. We'll get that sorted.
I think my physio would have kittens.
It'd be quite a swap, wouldn't it, to have?
It would make for some...
Tabitha opening the bowling in the 100, and then Georgia riding a novice chaser at Cheltenham. Yeah,
I'll be there with my eyes shut, holding on for dear life.
Just sit and hope.
Yeah, just sit and hope.
If you sent me in to open the batting, I'd probably just duck away as the ball came.
Stand there with the bat like that.
Yeah, don't hit me.
I'd ask to be super glued to the saddle. I'd like, just glue me on.
Well, thank you very much for entertaining me for about the last half an hour, and good luck, Georgia, in the 100 and also in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy. The finals at Lords this year, so best of luck for that.
Incentives.
And also, Tabitha, I think you said you were going away shortly because you've got your summer break, but I hope you keep riding plenty of winners in the National Hunt Game.
Thank you.
Be down to watch you.
Yeah, Plumpton, here we go.
Plumpton is where it's at.
Well, thanks very much, both of you, for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion. You can download the show on Apple Podcasts,
Amazon Music,
SoundCloud, Stitcher and Spotify.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at The Pad and Pav. Don't forget, if you like the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Looking for a fun way to win 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/play100 and use code PLAY100. That's code PLAY100 at prizepicks.com/play100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.